Good morning. Today for the 10th standard we will continue the part of the genetics left. So it is a continuation of the previously taught monohybrid cross, and I have given you certain definitions on phenotype and genotype. So today what we are going to study is basically some of the definitions more like homozygous, heterozygous, what is the Punnett square, who had invented it. Then we'll go into the dihybrid cross and know about the determination of sex chromosomes and autosomes, and also small definitions about it, that how sex is determined in and sex-linked diseases and dihybrid cross, of course. Now, first we'll know about what is the term homozygous mean. Now, homozygous means that both allelic pairs are alike. So, if a character is defined by two similar allelic pair, it can be two dominant or two recessive. Then we say that this is called homozygous. So, homozygous allele usually is termed to those allelic pair which are similar type, either both dominant or both recessive. This was first coined, the terms homozygous and heterozygous was coined by Bateson and Saunders. Then second is heterozygous. If both the allelic pairs are different, that means if there is one dominant and one recessive allele, that generally we call it heterozygous, because we have two different types. So hybrid types are all heterozygous in their form. Now, Punnett square, this is a simple method of making the cross between the two different allelic pair. So Punnett square was found by Regner C. Punnett. So I'll give just a small example of a monohybrid cross. You can see that a male, suppose it is capital T, that is a homozygous tall, and the female is a heterozygous. This is just an example. So let it be a heterozygous. Then the male, from the male we have the gamete. Suppose in the pollen grain it may come like this, the male gamete, from the male you will get one capital T and one capital T in the gamete, because when meiosis will take place, they will form the gametes will form like this. In case of the female, the gametes will be capital T and small t. Now when the fertilization, Punnett square is just showing the process of fertilization. So this T and this T, the male gamete fertilizes the female gamete. In the zygote you have a homozygous tall. Here capital T and capital T, again homozygous tall. Capital T and small t, this is a heterozygous tall. Capital T and small t, that is a heterozygous tall. So we can say that all are tall, phenotypically all are tall, and genotypically we say capital T is to capital T small t, that is equal to 1:1. We define it in the simplest form of the ratio. But if we say what is genotypically, what is the phenotype? Phenotype all are tall. Now this is, a Punnett square is just to make the cross easier, whether it is a monohybrid cross, a dihybrid cross, even trihybrid cross. You can make such crosses and find out the different types of phenotypes and genotypes that are formed. So this is all about the monohybrid cross, which I have already explained. Now we'll go to the dihybrid cross. Say for example, in a dihybrid cross, what we do, we take two pairs of two characters in alternative form, like say for example the round and yellow seed, round shaped seed with yellow colored set sheet. This is both are dominant, so it will be expressed as capital R, capital Y, and crossed with a wrinkled seed with green color. Both are recessive, so recessive will always be denoted in small letter. So this is homozygous, small r, homozygous, small y. So this is the nature, this is the genotype in case of wrinkle and green, this is the genotype in case of round and yellow. Now when the gamete formation takes place in the process of meiosis, we see the gamete that will form here it will bring one R and one Y, so it will be existing in this form, and in here you will get small r and small y, the gamete will exist in this form. They are having half the number of chromosomes. You know, in meiosis always the chromosome gets half, and then after fertilization again they unite together to form the diploid organism, diploid cell or diploid gametes. Now this is the gamete and this is the other gamete. So when they fertilize, what we see, let us see the process of fertilization. So we get after the meeting, okay, capital R, capital Y and small y. When they meet, they form capital R and small r, capital Y and small y. So this is in what will be the phenotype. So R is dominant to small r. It will be expressed as round because round is suppressing the wrinkle character. Here yellow is dominant and small y is green, so capital Y will suppress the small y, so it will express as a round and yellow. So we see in the F1 generation all are round and yellow. Now when we self it, in the F1 generation what we do is selfing, it's called a self cross, crossing with a similar type of genotype. So we got capital R, capital Y and small y. Now here also you get capital R, capital Y, small y. Now what are the different form of gametes that we get? So we get all the combination, capital R, capital Y, capital R, small r, capital Y and small r, small y. Same in the gamete formation, suppose in the ovum or the ovule or the female gametes, capital R, capital Y, small r, capital Y, capital R, small I and small r, small y. Now these are the gametes, all the male gametes, these are all the female gametes. Okay, it's expressed here by the sign. Now when they fertilize, we get this combination. See, capital R, capital Y, capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. So we get all the combination here. And if we express it in form of dominant, you see this is round and yellow, round 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 yellow. So how many round yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we say round yellow is 9. Second will be round and green. So round and green, you see here, how many are round green? This is round green, round green, round green. 3 are round green. Then wrinkled yellow, 1 wrinkled yellow. This is the second wrinkled yellow and this is the third wrinkled yellow. So wrinkled yellow is 3 and wrinkled green is 1. So phenotypic expression, what do we see? So in the phenotype, what do we see here? See, round yellow is 9, round green is 3, wrinkled yellow is 3, wrinkled green is 1. So we see the phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1. So in the examination, this is often asked. Though dihybrid cross is not there in your course, it is more in the +2 level. But you can be asked here that what is the phenotypic ratio? So you must know the phenotypic ratio is, you have to write both round yellow is to round green is to wrinkled yellow is to wrinkled green is equal to 9:3:3:1. So this you have to write like this. Genotypically, if you say what is the genotypic ratio, it's very complex. It is beyond your scope. So no need to study that. But you can easily find out that how many different types of round yellows are there, all with the genotypic configuration you have to express. So it is beyond your scope, so no need to learn about the genotypic ratio. So generally the law of independent assortment is derived from the dihybrid cross. So what do we see that in the dihybrid cross, when two different characters are taken in a plant, these two characters do not influence each other or do not interfere into each other. Or else there will be a deviation from this usual phenotypic ratio of 9:3:3:1. Usually it happens. It will happen in all non-Mendelian characters. In Mendelian characters, I already told you that all these characters are non-linked. That means they are existing on different chromosomes. Suppose the round color and round and wrinkle, this will be in one chromosome. Yellow green, that will be on a separate chromosome. So since they are on two different chromosomes, they do not influence each other. So naturally they are non-linked. Neither they are completely linked or incompletely linked. But if they would have been linked, then they would have given a different ratio than those we say as a non-Mendelian character. So law of independent assortment says that when the gamete formation takes place, the gametes that are formed, they are found independent of each other, and when they fertilize again, they form the new ratios that are forming of the phenotypic and genotypic ratio. They do not influence each other or do not interfere into each other. Now, we'll study about what is autosomes and sex chromosomes. The chromosomes other than the sex chromosomes are called the autosomes. And like for example, in human being we have total 46 chromosomes. Out of their first, we say that 22 pairs means 44 chromosomes are autosomes, and the last pair is called the sex chromosome. So sex chromosomes are chromosomes that are determinant of the sex of an individual. Though we know that always it is not the chromosome that determines, even the environmental factor can play a role. It can be sometimes that the ratio between autosome and the sex chromosome also sometimes is determinant of the sex of an individual. But majority cases we see that the sex chromosomes they give the from where we get the determine the sex of an individual. Like in human male we have 44 plus XY, in female we have 44 plus XX. Now since these two are different, X and Y chromosome on their shape, we say that these are heterogametic. So human males are heterogametic because X and Y is there. Human female, it is homogametic because both the chromosomes are X and X. Now what do this? Is the sex chromosome only determinant of the sex? No. Sex chromosomes carry other type of genetical characters also, that we say those are linked characters, or sometimes we say they are sex-linked characters. If it is on the X chromosome, we call it X-linked. If it is on the Y chromosome, we call it a Y-linked gene or Y-linked character. But autosomes also carry the genetic or the characters, so we say they are autosomal linked characters. Now, this so we see that always in case of human male it is XY, and in case of human female it is XX. But that is reverse. In case of birds and reptiles, we see the males are homogametic, in female it is heterogametic. So we determine it in a different way. In that case we say the male is equal to W and W and female is equal to W and X. So it is reverse in case of birds and reptiles. In human being or Drosophila, the fruit fly, the males are heterogametic and females are homogametic. This is what we will know about today. Next class we are going to study about how the sex of the child is determined from the parents, and also we are going to know a little bit about certain sex-linked diseases like sickle cell anemia, hemophilia or color blindness, or certain autosomal linked diseases like albinism or sickle cell anemia. So a little bit about that and also about mutation. So please go through the chapter again and again. If you have questions, you can raise the questions. We will be giving you the assignments, and please do the assignments. Thank you very much.